Hello everybody, TN artist Brett Tadlock here. Hope you're doing fantastic wherever you are in this great big world, and that you've had an awesome day or week or weekend or whatever when you're seeing this. So today I wanted to work on maybe just kind of some special effects kind of stuff, and maybe just kind of one thing, and if there's time, maybe two things. Um, but something I thought could be helpful for using as a building block for other paintings, which is one of the things I like doing. I like going over stuff so that you guys can try it on other paintings as well. So anyway, 8 by 10, 150 DPI. The palette over here is the ink palette, and then over here just the standard brushes and stuff like that. So I'm going to go to the pen brush. We'll go to fountain, and I'm going to go to this orangish color. So I want to just kind of quickly maybe sketch in some rough shapes of leaves, and like leaves that are laying flat. Okay, so nothing too crazy, just trying to get an idea of where they might go, because one of the things I wanted to do was possibly some ripples in water, and I wanted to show you how you can just have some fun with this. You don't have to worry about being overly precise with it. At least you shouldn't have to. You can see these are just really, really rough shapes. I mean, if I told somebody, what is this? They'd be like, I don't know. And I'd be like, I don't know either. So anyway, but my point here is I don't want you to be intimidated by this. All right. So we've got these shapes here. Okay. Now you can also, if you wanted to, and this is kind of my preferred way to do it, but I thought this might be a little bit easier to see, you can come in with the selection tool, and like if you get these laid out roughly how you want them, you can then just come back. Notice I've got this set to add to. Okay, so that way I can just kind of follow along with these, and this is just a guide. Point here is I want you just to kind of relax and let yourself have some fun. Okay, so don't stress about this. Don't worry about, oh, my perspective is off, oh, this. Just put some, think like maple leaves, or really any kind of leaf, but just different stuff kind of in there, right? So we've got these in there. Now what are we doing with them? So now let's come over, and you can use the watercolor brush, you can use the acrylic, you can use any of these. I'm going to go ahead and just grab the acrylic, and let me see, what is one that's, let's go Filbert Smooth. And I am just going to, this one is pressure sensitive, and very loosely letting some of that background kind of peek through. Oh, and this background here, let me show you what that is, by the way. It's this washy, and then I just selected like this this color, which is kind of this off purplish color. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my gold here and just kind of put some of this in here. Kind of get rid of my lines that were there. Now this brush is a little bit sensitive as far as size. You can see where it's getting bigger as I push on it, but up to you if you want to try and just paint these freehand. I kind of like doing this so I can get those nice sharp edges. I'm just going to throw some color in here as well. Again, going very loose. I'm going to change my color. I'm going to grab that one. Make that a little bit more orange. Maybe just a little bit of that down here as well. And maybe just a little bit on the edges of this one. This brush is great for like if you're wanting to do fires. Push 4, just kind of smear these around a little bit. Make them a little bit more cohesive. Okay, so again, very loose. If you could see how I'm holding my pen, I'm actually holding the very end of it, so that I don't have an down on the end of it like a pencil. So I'm holding the very end away from the tip, and just letting it be real loose. Okay, so I recommend that. That's actually can be a great way to. I'm going to do Control D to kind of really loosen up your painting style. And 5, because I'm going to get rid of that little smudge that was there. Alright, so now we've kind of got those really loose. And as you can see, very loose, very free. Now, let's say, for example, you deselected that, right? And you're like, oh, I want to go back and do something. So Control and click on the layer, and you can select it. Now, it doesn't give you a perfect selection of everything you had because it's selecting based on opacity. So all this stuff that's faded down here is not going to be there, and so forth. But but this is a great way to kind of quickly select it, and it can give you some interesting stuff if you change it around. So like, let's say, for example, I want to grab this color here, but maybe I want to make it a little bit more orange and a little bit darker, and just kind of put some brownish color in here a little bit on some of these. And so this is obviously kind of a fall inspired thing. Alright, so now I've got that there. And Control D. And I think I'm going to put another one right about here, like so. Okay. And we'll grab, well, I'll just go ahead and hit B, go back to my one that I had here. Alt and select from one of the other ones. Alt and select from one of the other ones. Just kind of smear this in here a little bit. Something like that. So that it's just kind of a blob of color. I'm going to put a little bit more. Hit Control D. And just a few more hints of color. So again, not a lot of thought as far as trying to draw something specific. Okay. Now I brought this down in color because now I'm going to bring, down in size because I want to bring out a few veins for some of these, just kind of a hint at it. Like so. Grab that one, bring that around. Okay. I'm going to hit 4, and I'm going to go back over those and just kind of soften them so they're not really so stark. They're just kind of there. Get rid of a few of these lines that are still sticking out over here. And just lightly going over, so it's just allowing it to make a little bit of contact. But that'll help kind of, our brains only need like 20% of something to figure out what it is or to imply what it is. That's why we can look at clouds and go, oh, I see a bunny. Oh, I see a dragon, whatever. So you only need 20% of something the shape of something to understand what it is. They use that in marketing all the time. All right, so we've got those kind of in here, thrown around a little bit. Again, nothing really too crazy. All right, so why these shapes like this? Because we're going to make a ripple. And so I don't want this to be overly detailed, because the water is going to distort what they look like anyway. So we're going to make a water ripple. So let's say that our ripple is here and it's kind of spiraling out from there. So there's a couple ways you can do this. One, you can just freehand it and start laying in where you want some of your ripples. Okay. You can also take your rulers. Okay. Go to the ellipse. So now we've got our ellipse here. Okay. Now you bring this down in size. If you wanted to make it an ellipse where you can change the perspective, you can do that. Or you can just bring it down like this. So I'm going to bring it down like that. Move it over to right about here. Okay. Which is just a little off center. Actually, let me move it just a little bit more, like so. We're on a new layer. And now I want to grab, I'm going to click on this brown, but I'm going to come straight over from it and get a blue, kind of the sky blue. And then I'm going to come down a little bit and just add, basically adding a little bit of white to it, so it's kind of bluish gray. All right, now I'm going to press 1 and paint along my circle. And then I'm going to grab here and I'm going to bring it out a little bit, and I'm also going to bring it over a little bit, and again paint my circle. I'm going to bring it out and bring it over a little bit. Okay. Excuse me. And I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to paint my circle. Bring it out. Bring it out. Now these are guidelines, right? We're not going to keep them like this. This is just our guideline. That's all we're doing here. Is we're laying the foundation for what we're going to do. Okay. And see how these are kind of getting a little bit further from each other as they come out of that center. All right. And now get rid of our ripple. All right, sorry about that. So now we've got our ripple in there. Okay. Whoops. Did not mean to grab that and bring that over there. So let me pull that back down here and put this one up there. There we go. Okay. So now I've got those ripples there. So I want to kind of play around with where I'm going to see everything. So I want a little bit more ripple effect here. So I just stay in that curve using these as my guidelines. Okay. I'm going to start adding that is a, I don't know if that's a thing with my system or with Rebelle, but every now and then when I'm doing these really quick strokes, it'll give me a vertical stroke that goes from like where I last touched kind of thing. And the key here is to stay with the curve of the ripple. So again, that's why we took the time to draw out our circles. See, it keeps doing that. I'm just going to ignore it and I'll fix it. I'm not sure why it does that. Actually, I need to report that as a bug. I don't know if anybody else has had that issue. Okay. And a few over here. Slow down a little bit. So you just kind of keep working your way around. All right, so you start to kind of see where you're wanting to have the ripples kind of expand. Okay, like so. Now I'm going to push 5. So we're erasing, and I'm going to go back in here and erase some of these so I don't have that perfect circle. Okay. And so that kind of pushes that back a little bit. Alright, so now we've got that there. I can push 4 and just kind of soften some of these on the back side a little bit. Okay. Again, staying in that circle pattern. So I'm not going to go out horizontal or vertical. I want all of these strokes to mimic the circle. Okay. All right. So now we've got that done. Now I want to add in some stuff for the dark here, and I want to put it behind these. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm then going to drag it below my leaf patterns, and I'm going to grab this color, but I'm going to go down a little bit darker, like so. And I'm going to lay it in. And actually, I think I'm going to choose a different brush because I want this to be, let's go with this knife because that's a little bit, and the same kind of thing. I'm going kind of around, really loose. I don't want to go completely under these leaves because they're transparent, so see, it'll see that. So I don't want to, I do want to be aware of where they're at. But by doing it underneath, I don't have to worry about if I paint over them a little bit because I can always come back later and clean it up. Okay. So we can get some color kind of laid in here. And these are all fairly mid-tone kind of colors. And all we're doing is kind of coming into these gaps and adding some contrast. You don't have to fill it all up, but it can give us a little bit of a more of an interest if it's kind of around these leaves. And notice I'm still kind of sticking to my circular pattern. Like so. Okay. There we go. Now that's really choppy, I understand that, so we're going to fix that. But I'm going to save this real quick because I just realized I hadn't saved. Alright, there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to a little bit bigger brush by hitting my right bracket key. I'm going to go to 4 or smudge, and I'm going to kind of soften some of these. Again, still going in the direction of the circle. And just trying to soften it down. Take some of that choppiness out of it. Okay, so that's going to leave me some of these streaky sections here and there, which is what I want. Alright, now I'm going to come back up here to this other layer, and I'm going to kind of do a little bit of the same, but this I'm going to do a little bit more selective. I'm not going to do all of it. And some of it I'll almost obliterate like that. Okay. So all that's doing is just kind of softening some of our edges, make them look a little bit more intentional. Alright, and then I'm going to bring this down in size again, and I'm going to push 5. And again, I'm going to delete some of this. Because I want some more of that leaf to show through. And again, notice I'm still going in that circular pattern. Okay, so now we've got that there. So let's come back to this blue that we had, and let's go a little bit more blue and a little bit brighter. And now in here, what we want to do is add in some spots. Of where maybe that sky, because the blue is really the sky, and so there's just some spots to where maybe it is reflecting just a bit brighter. Where's that stupid thing again? I guess I just need to slow down. Bring this size down some more, and I'm just going to make some jagged lines here and there along some of the edges. All right, push 4 and then soften any of those that you think need softening. You can kind of push the paint the other direction as well. Kind of like that. Alright, so let's go to the same blue color and let's drop that down and bring that up. And now we're going to add, push 1, and then we're going to add some highlights. Alright, and we'll go even lighter. again. And this is just kind of playing around till you get the look that you want. But you'll notice that all my highlights are kind of on the upper side of the ripples. So like along here instead of back here. So because these ripples would be going like this. And so we need to pick a side that the highlight is hitting. Okay, and that's kind of what we're doing. So when it comes around to here, put it on the top. When it's here, it may be reflecting on this part of it. But it's still kind of the same side of the ripple. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my selection tool and I'm going to come through here and I'm going to delete. I want to kind of clean some of this up and give some very distinct ripple marks. But again, going the direction of, and you can just kind of see how I'm scrubbing back and forth and I haven't picked up yet. Then when I pick it up, it kind of lays down where I want it, but it leaves some of that jagged. I'm still going the direction of the circles. But it's just another way to kind of keep it. Oops, I don't like that one. Or that one. Keep it kind of clean and fresh looking and loose. And I'm trying to do here is clean off some of that that grayish kind of color, but see how that really starts to define in? You get some really clear darks. That's why I like it. Like so. Okay. And so that's how you can really start to kind of quickly lay in, like if you're wanting to do a ripple. And you can do this like this. So say like you were messing with something, you wanted to play around with the perspective, you could take this whole thing and play with your perspective to change the angle of it by just going to pressing T. So you'd have to flatten the whole thing, then press T, and then you can change it. Here, let me show you a little bit. So let's say that I've got this ripple here. I'm going to come over here to perspective. And I can bring it out and make it look like it's a bit more of a flat water ripple. So if you have trouble drawing the perspective, you can let the program work for you a little bit. You know what? I kind of like that better, so I'm going to leave that. All right. So now we've got that water really kind of distinguished apart from it. Press period to get it back to the screen. One thing I'm going to do real quick, since we're over here, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm back on my painting brush. And I've still got this, so I'm going to go ahead and add just the slightest little kind of up. Like maybe the water just, whatever it was, just went in there and it's just kind of coming up. That little splash of there we go. So that looks like that pebble or whatever just got thrown in there, you know. So the other thing you can do here is you can come back down to the leaf level. You can come up here to your smudge, okay. And then what you can do from here is we can go to liquefy. I'm going to bring this way down. Let me change this brush real quick. There we go. So now I'm going to take, and again, following these curves, and we can have it kind of get that really cool effect of it being rippled. The key here is, again, follow the same curve. And you'll get really that kind of reflective kind of a feel. And this is where digital makes your life a little bit easier than traditional. Because traditional, we would have had to paint it this way first. There we go. Now I'm going to go back to my brush, and I'm going to press 4. And I'm going to kind of smudge this out a little bit because I didn't really like how that one looked. And so now we've got that really nice ripple effect, and I can even come back over here on this one and do the same thing with my blues and my whites, following that same kind of circle. If I wanted to just kind of tie that together so that these become a little bit more organic. Like so. Okay. So hopefully this helps with trying to see how you can really play around and get this kind of really cool special effect of water ripples, and being able to, you know, spend some time painting it and playing around with it, but not having to, you know, really have a lot of drawing skills. You know, the most drawing I did on this was this little ripple, that little splash. So I think we'll go with that one. I know I said maybe 1 or 2, but we'll just do this one for this one, and then I'll add another one on the next video. But I just wanted to show you how to do this ripple. I had an idea of, like, you know, people I know a lot of times struggle with trying to get the water look and the transparency and all that. So I thought maybe this would help. If you have questions about it, just let me know. Feel free to use the chats over on our group on Patreon, and we can chat there and just kind of go from there with everything. So, but I really do hope that this has helped you to really see how you can just relax and paint these kind of things to get that look of reflection and ripples and multiple colors by just using 3 layers and things like that one brush that we just used, which was that Filbert Smooth, and then the Knife Smooth. So as always, I appreciate every single one of you, and I'm glad you're here. If you have questions, let me know that. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.